Welcome back to Keen Plays. Today we're going to be looking at the board game Friday from Friedemann Friese. This game, I guess, was a part of a little series that he was doing where he just made up a game on Friday. The first couple games that he did had Friday in the name. The first one was Black Friday. This one was just Friday. And then he broke tradition with his third game that he did on Friday and called it Copycat. And I think those are the only 3 games that he did. So I don't know, kind of weird. But anyways, this game here is called Friday. It's based on the novel Robinson Crusoe. And Friday comes from the name of the native that Robinson Crusoe saved from being cannibalized. and he didn't know his name, couldn't speak the language, and so he just named him after the day of the week. And so that's where the name comes from. You are playing as Friday, I guess, and you're trying to help Robinson Crusoe get off of the island by just going through the hazards that come with being on the island. And then at the end of it, if you're able to defeat 2 pirate ships, then you win the game. And Robinson Crusoe gets to go home, or something like that. Anyways, let's get into how to play this game, and we'll start by how you're going to set it up. First off, you're going to split up this deck here. You've got a few different things. These are your hazard cards. They have Robinson Crusoe on one side, and the hazard on the other side. So there's 30 of those cards. You're going to shuffle those up, and you're just going to set them down here. You also have these cards here that indicate what level threat the hazard is. You always have green, and then yellow underneath, and red. Not that you really need those, but it's a little bit of a reminder, I guess. And then you have your own cards here. These are your Robinson cards, and they look just like this. You have Robinson on one side, and just a little fence here on the other side. There's 18 of those cards. Most of them are not very good. So you're going to shuffle those up and you're going to put them right here. And then lastly, you have these cards up here, and these are the aging cards. So you have 3 of these ones with this picture here of, an older Robinson with a white beard and white hair. Those are the more difficult aging cards, and then you have these ones which are just the normal aging cards. So you're going to shuffle all of these up separately. So you do these 3, and you'll face it down here, just like it says on this little playing board here. So it shows, 3 cards here. Shuffle those up, put them underneath, and then you're going to take these other 8. It would be 7 if you played like the easy setting, but we're just going to use all of them, and you put those on top. And then you'll take these pirate ship cards here. So there's 10 of those. You'll shuffle those up, and you'll flip over 2 of them. And those are going to be the pirate ships at the end of the game that you'll be facing off against. Then you'll also have these life points down here. In an easier game, you would have 20 of them, and you would put 2 in the reserve. But we're going to play a little bit, we're going to play with the harder rule set where you only take 18 and you put 2 in the reserve. So now that we have the setup out of the way, how do you actually play this game? Well, it's a little bit of a deck builder. Like I said, you have all of these Robinson cards here, but most of them are not very good. As you can see here, on these cards you have the picture of Robinson, and then it tells you what type of card it is. And up here it gives you a value, either 1 or 0. We have a 2 in here, and we even have some -1s. So that is like your combat value, basically. Also, I think there is 1 card in here. Yes, this card here. So this is an eating card. It also gives you a special ability, where in this case it gives you 2 life. So if you were to have this card down, you could activate that special ability and take 2 life. I think that's the only card though that you start with that has a special ability. So, like I said, you're trying to get a better deck for when you go up against these pirate ships. And you get a better deck by running into hazards. To start off your turn, you're going to flip over 2 of these hazards, and you can choose one of them to run into. Obviously, you have some harder ones like cannibals, and you have some easier ones like just going out to the wreckage with your raft. Now, based on what stage you're in, green here is going to be the easiest, where if you run into these cannibals, it's got a hazard value of 5, whereas if you're in the red stage, it's got a hazard value of 14. And if you're going out to the raft, well, in a green stage, it's only 0. So to start off the game, you'd probably want to go to the raft because you aren't in risk of losing any health. So the way that it would work is you would choose this one, you would discard this one over here, and then based on the hazard value, you might have to pull some cards from your deck. Over here tells you how many you can pull for free. So in this case, we don't actually have to pull any because it's got a hazard value of 0. So right now we are completing it. It doesn't cost anything for this hazard. We can just take it and it goes into our discard pile here. If you win this card, you get to use it later on, where this one, it's a 0 combat value, but you do get the special ability of copying another special ability. So it's a pretty decent card to have, but let's say that instead we decided to go up against the cannibals. Well, over here it tells you how many free cards you get to pull, so you can just start pulling away. Well, that's not worth anything, that's not worth anything. There we go, we got 1, -1, and 0. So now we've pulled our 5 free cards, and we are nowhere close to defeating the cannibals. So if we decide to just give up there, we would actually have to give up 5 health because we didn't do anything to it. If we didn't have this distracted one here and we had 1, then we'd have to give up 4 health. So you can either do that by, getting rid of these life points down here, or you can actually use these cards to get rid of them. Because up in this right hand corner of each card, it shows the symbol for your life points. So each one of these is worth 1. So we could just get rid of all of these, but I wouldn't mind keeping this focused one here since it's got a combat value of 1, and right now that's pretty good. So what you can do to pull more cards is you can spend life points. So you spend 1 for each card that you want to pull. Well, there we go. We picked up eating, so we can actually activate that one and take back 2 life. And then we can spend another one and pull another card. You can do this as much as you want until you decide you want to either give up or you end up winning. So now in this case here, it might actually be beneficial to stop and just let the cannibals, I guess, win. I'm not sure how that works, but we could just stop because we'd have to get rid of 5 cards since our total combat value is 0. We would have to give up 5, and we've got a bunch of weak, and we've got to distract it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's not a bad way to start things off either. You can get rid of a bunch of your useless cards. And then these would go into a destroyed pile up there. They don't come back into the game. This gets discarded over here, and these go back into your discard pile for your deck. And you just keep repeating that. So you're going to pull another couple of hazards here. We've got another, going back to the raft, or we can further explore the island. So this is also where there's kind of some strategy to what you want to do. This one would give us a combat value of 2, and it gives us the experience special ability of picking up an extra card. Whereas this one, we can get it for free right now, and it gives us a special ability of exchanging 2 of our cards, which is honestly pretty good. This one, we don't really have that great of cards to begin with, so let's just take this one and we can discard this one out of the way. And 2 more cards. We can go exploring the island, or we can head back to the wreck. This one here, we only need 1 combat value, so let's try for that one. So we're going to pull, we can pull 2 cards over here. Well, we've actually got it. So I don't need to keep pulling. Since I have the 1 already, I can stop right now and I'll just take it. That way you aren't wasting these cards, because when you do get to the bottom of this deck, it shows right here that you add an aging card to your deck to shuffle it up again. So if I did ever run out of these cards, then I would take this stack of cards, I would grab one of these aging cards, and then I would shuffle it in. And this is bad because now, if this one comes out when I'm fighting a hazard, this special ability says my highest card equals 0 combat value. But you'll also notice that these are worth 2 life points. So to get rid of them is pretty easy. If you just run into, some cannibals and you aren't able to finish them off, you can easily use this one to get away. And that's basically it. You're just going to keep going through your hazards, trying to get more cards that help you along the way. This one, you get to pick up 2 cards. This one gives you a combat value of 2, and you can sort 3 cards, meaning you can pick up the top 3 cards of your deck and kind of rearrange them, and you can even discard one of those as well. And you'll keep going through this deck until you get through all of them. And then, as you can see here, it shows now after green, you move on to yellow. So now all these hazards get slightly harder. Instead of 4, it takes 7. Instead of 5, it takes 9. Instead of 0, it takes 1. They all get a little bit harder. You'll go through this whole deck again, and then you'll move on to red. And you'll go through it one more time. Once you come to the end of that, then it's time to move on to your pirate ships. And by now you would have a pretty substantial deck over here with a bunch of these cards mixed in. And along the way you probably would have gotten rid of, some of these distracteds, some of these weak cards. You'd probably have a bunch of these things that add to it. And then you're going up against these ships. And they play the exact same way as those hazard cards. Over here it gives you the hazard value. Over here it tells you how many free cards you can pick up. And down here it'll say if it has a special ability or not. So for this one, only half of the face-up fighting cards count. Face-up aging cards must be part of this. So that's pretty self-explanatory. If you have 20 cards face up, only half of them can count. But luckily you're able to choose which ones count, which ones don't. So, not too bad. This one over here, this one doesn't have a special ability. You just need 30 to defeat it. And you can only pick up 8 cards for free. But again, you're able to use your life points to bring up more and more cards. It'll just cost you life. And you win the game if you're able to defeat both of these pirate ships. You lose the game if you lose all of your life points at some point during the game. And that's basically it. It's actually a really fun game. I've played it a few times now. I played the beginner level first, just to get my bearings, and it was fairly easy. I mean, there was still some strategy that you needed to implement to, make your way through it. And then this last time I played just regular mode, which is, you add in one of these aging cards and you take away some health. So it does get a little bit harder. There's a few different stages that you can try out, but I haven't lost yet. I think it would be kind of hard to lose. I think it just makes it a little bit harder for you to win. but I don't think that, you know, it's too difficult to win overall, or at least I haven't found that yet. Because these cards, they do, you know, they do kind of mess you up a bit, but they're so easy to get rid of. You know, you can just decide to not, you know, beat one of these hazards, and then you just get to discard these cards. So, not the most detrimental thing ever, but still, you know, they definitely do make you struggle a little bit. More so at the end of the game, where if you want to keep track of points and kind of compare how you did that game to your other rounds that you've done, that's where they can really affect how well you did during the game. Because at the end of the game, you'll take your deck here of cards and you'll count up all of your fighting or your combat points here. And so, you know, whatever. You have 40 some, but then if you have any of these aging cards, each of these is worth -5. So they aren't good to have in your hand at all, and that can really affect your points. And then you would also take however many of these hazard cards are left that you weren't able to accomplish. Each one of those is -3. And then you get, I believe it's 5 points for each life point you have left. And you get 15 points for each pirate ship that you defeat. Which if you don't defeat both of them, then you just lose the game. You have to defeat them. There's no giving up on these. Like, you can't, if I'm at 28 and I need 30 to defeat it, I can't be like, oh, I'll just spend 2 life points. No, you have to fully defeat them or else you lose the game. But yeah, so that's how you score it. And so yeah, if you have those aging cards in your deck here, then they can really affect your score. But otherwise, they aren't really too hard to deal with. Pretty easy to get rid of. There's also some other cards in here that can help you get rid of them. Yeah, there we go. There's these destroy cards, where if you use their special ability, you can just choose one of the cards that are down there and destroy it. So if you have any of those aging cards, you just get rid of them automatically. Because there's a few of these that, you know, they do mess you up like this. Well, you have to give up 2 of your life points. Some of these are just bad combat values. This stop card makes you stop picking up free cards as soon as it comes up. But if you destroy it or you exchange it, you use one of your exchange special abilities, then as soon as it goes away, then you can replenish your free. You know, if you're supposed to pick up 8 and this comes up at 3, then you would have to stop picking up. But if you get rid of it with a destroy or an exchange card, then you can continue to pick up until you have 8 free cards. So yeah, there we go. That is that is the game Friday. Hopefully this was somewhat easy to follow along with. I know the first time I read through the rule book, I was like, I don't really understand what's going on here. But once you start playing, it's actually really intuitive, and you just kind of start ripping through it. It's really easy, and especially because it's a solo player game, like you aren't waiting on anyone else, you're just kind of cruising. So very fun. I really like this game. Happy that I found it in a Value Village grab bag. So sick game. I'd say if you can pick it up, and if you're into solo games, obviously you'll enjoy this. I'm not really into solo games myself, but I'm glad that I tried this one out, and it's a really fun game. So I would definitely recommend picking it up if you find it somewhere. But that's going to be all for this video. Feel free to like or subscribe. That would be awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. See ya.